Welcome to me building $1 billion business in public. We are just shy of $10 million, meaning we've got only 990 million to go. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So as always, we're going to start with some YouTube Q&A, which is essentially me answering your guys' comments on YouTube. This is a great way for me to answer your questions and also for you guys to actually engage with me. So if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. Second, we're going to get into the topic of today's video, which is how I would go personally from $0 to $100,000 a month in 2026 as a software developer if I have to start over. And then last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about strategy. So currently, the strategy for both YouTube channels, my main one as well as my daily one. For those of you who are new, welcome. Not too long ago, I was a software developer myself, working in a regular pretty much 9 to 5. Today, I'm a business owner whose business is very close to doing almost $10 million in annually recurring revenue. We'll hit that by the end of this year, which means, as you probably heard before, we've only got 990 million to go. Alrighty, so first and foremost, let's not waste any time and get started with the YouTube Q&A. I believe we only got 2 comments for now, so let's go through those. DRZ says, love the videos. It's a shame they get so little views for the provided value. It's okay. No need to be down. Views will start picking up. How do I pursue entrepreneurship if I'm 18 years old and have mobile front-end skills? So the biggest advantage that you have here isn't this portion, but rather is this portion. Let me explain why. So when you're 18 years old, okay, most individuals your age, 99.9% of them, are wasting time. And frankly, I believe it is the hardest for your generation to not waste time because you guys don't know what life was like before internet, before the phones. Now you might be like, well, how do you know? Because I grew up in Armenia, which was about at the time at least 20 years behind the Western world. So we largely didn't use our phones. We always played outside. That's why I didn't really have any social media accounts even when I got to the US. I didn't have a personal phone till I think I was 16 years old about. But long story short, 99.9% of individuals, 18-year-olds, are addicted to their phones. Not just phones with social media. They consume a significant amount of content. Not only that, but it's content that is not necessarily educational. You might think I'm going on a crazy generalization here, but what I'm saying is actually very factual. Very few 18-year-olds will dedicate their time day to day to actual useful things. What's the typical life of an 18-year-old? Probably graduated around that time, pursuing university most often than not, right? Most of their day is going to go to work/school. I would say mostly school. Very few people, 18-year-olds, will work at the time. If they will, it'll probably be some minimum wage job, right? And then the rest of the time, when they're free or they have a break, they're going to spend on socials or other mundane activities. Not to mention if they're in university, right? They're in uni, they're going to go out partying and things like that. Only a very small subsection of 18-year-olds will actually dedicate their time to something useful. Now, the reason I said I don't want to highlight the mobile front-end skills because you're not just going to get into entrepreneurship with your mobile front-end skills. It's just not going to work. As an 18-year-old, the biggest advantage you have is that you are young, which means you have time, but also people will respect your youth. What I mean by people will respect your youth is that whenever they see a young guy hustling, they see a young guy trying to make it, they'll be very supportive of your growth. If you walk into a local business and try to pitch your service or whatever the case, the owner won't mock you. The owner will be quite supportive of you. The owner will either, say yes or agree, or they'll give you the chance most of the time. But if, let's say, you're a 50-year-old guy and you walk into a business and you try to pitch something, most often than not, they'll be a lot less lenient with you. And they'll be, you can say, a bit more mean, a bit more rude. I've seen this firsthand. When I was in my early 20s and I was pitching businesses in person, people gave me a chance just because I was young. And just because they saw that, I'm young, I'm trying to go after it, they respected the hustle. And out of goodwill towards, the next generation, so to say, they felt like they wanted to do good. So when you're young, your biggest advantage, because people say, oh, you're young, you have a lot of time, use it. Your biggest advantage is that people will respect your youth. You will have a lot of quote unquote free, get out of jail free cards, right? You don't understand the level of opportunity you can really capitalize on when you're young. people will, they might not take you seriously, but what people will do is definitely give you a chance that they won't give other individuals. They'll give you a chance, they'll be able to spend time on you, a bit more money in you, they'll be able to invest a little bit more in you, they'll be able to mentor you. So your focus shouldn't be on what mobile app I can create or what software I can create. It's rather to try to get into as many rooms as possible, expand your network. Get into entrepreneurship in every sense of the word, right? Expand your network, meet new individuals, start thinking of problems to solve, talk with your network, go to business events. If you're in the United States, go to a Chamber of Commerce, sign up for that, sign up for a BNI, Business Network International, look for any startup events. When you're 18, once again, your biggest advantage is your age. People love seeing young energy in this type of sort of a space, right? And whenever you're a successful business owner, you don't understand how big of an effect passing it down really has. Whenever I see a young guy myself hustling and trying to go after it, I will always give them the benefit of the doubt and simply just let them have a chance. It can be a cold email, it can be anything. If I see a young dude, the other day, a 16-year-old guy sent me a pitch on improving my thumbnails. Most of the time, I'm not gonna, I'm just trying to send it straight to spam because most individuals will even put a little bit of time into it. But this kid actually put in a decent amount of time into it. And I replied to him, I'm like, hey, I really have a thumbnail designer. I don't want to work with you, but here's what you can do to improve your outreach and blah, 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 blah. Just because I saw a kid was doing it, I felt like the need to pass it down, right? I feel like the need to help him out. So your age, use it to your advantage. Get into stuff. Talk with individuals. Be courageous, okay? People don't understand how important this factor is. People think that it all comes down to IQ, right? Risk-taking, hard work, all this stuff. They like to throw these words around. The biggest multiplier, in my opinion, is courage. The courage to walk into that room, the courage to talk to the person giving the presentation, the courage to do these things. That is your biggest advantage. And when you're young, that courage is only going to play to your advantage. It's a multiplier. Everything that you'll do as an 18-year-old, if somebody does, let's say when they're 30 or 40 or 50, they're not going to have the same results simply because you're young and people will view you differently. They'll allow you to make mistakes, right? They'll expect you to make a few mistakes. They'll expect you not to understand things. So that's how I would get into entrepreneurship. Focus on expanding your network, join as many different types of events as possible. Don't right now just start a SaaS or anything of that sort because that's not where your advantage lies. You can do that in your early 20s, right? For now, work on expanding your network, learning as many skills as possible, and communicating with individuals. Talk with people. Learn the marketing, learn the sales, and do that. Let people know what you're doing because they'll be more than willing to help you out. So thank you for the comment, DRZ. Let's take a look at the other one. Ruben, first of all, good job with your videos and greetings from Europe. Welcome, welcome. I'm a web dev, but I have no sales skills and I'm a bit introvert to spam call clients. What do you think of focusing on creating multiple working services, using the MVP with a bit of spam on niche forums and then focusing on expanding the one that has a bit of traction? If everything fails, at least I will have a good portfolio, right? So the strategy that you define is sort of what people call a Hail Mary, right? It's sort of, oh, I'm going to shoot for A, but even if I don't get A, I'm going to get a B. I'll get to the B, right? I personally am not a big fan of this strategy. Main reason being is because when you said you have no sales skills and you're a bit of an introvert, guess what? This is learnable. This is something you can learn. Having no sales skills means you can improve and you can learn these sales skills. Bit of an introvert to spam call clients. Well, who said you have to spam call clients, right? You can email them or do whatever the case if cold calling isn't your forte. But focusing on creating multiple working MVPs, right? And then spamming on niche forums to try and get traction. That's only one way of marketing, but you're going to waste way too much time on that. So at any given moment, what you want to understand is, look at the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. What 20% of the action items can you do that will lead you to 80% of the results? Okay? There is always 20% you can do to get you to the 80. That is extremely important. What you're describing right now is a bit in the 80 side. Because do you really think this is going to get you the highest ROI on your time? In my opinion, no. So I don't know how good of a web dev you are, right? But the simplest even thing you can do right now is, I don't know if you know of Lovable. You probably know it. It's the AI landing page creator, right? All you can really do as a web dev is, I don't know if you're in the United States or not, but take a look at businesses mainly service-based businesses in your local area who have websites, right? So check out their website. If it's bad, in other words, if it's shit, for the lack of a better word, excuse my French, then literally just send them a cold DM or email with either a screenshot or a quick little loom of a website that you designed using Lovable. This should take you less than 5 minutes, extremely easy to do, and will create a very nice website. You can even prompt it in Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini and then put it into Lovable to get a proper website. Take a note of the service or the business that is, and then you can ask Lovable to make it essentially based on industry standards. But even doing something like this will put you way ahead of 99% of people. And this way, not only can you still add it to your portfolio, but also you'll actually get some clients and you don't have to build something from scratch without, wasting time on it. Never, never, ever build something without first selling it, okay? Doesn't matter if it's even an MVP. No matter what anybody says, you can always get at least a little bit of validation before you put your time and effort into building it. Always ask yourself, is what I'm doing part of the 20%, right? You might think that most people want to just take action, any action, but they don't understand that taking action that's in 80% is a lot more detrimental than not taking any action at all. Because if I spend, let's say, 10 hours here, right, and I get 20% results, versus if I had spent 2 hours here, that's essentially equivalent, okay? So always keep that in mind. Anytime you want to do something, ask yourself, am I doing the 20 or the 80%? In this specific case, right, you can still do the niche forum stuff, but I would be a little bit smarter at it, right? I would try to get people on a call to discuss it with them, and I would try to sell it before you build out any MVP. By selling it, I mean even a cheap deposit will work, right? Or grandfathering them in at a different price point. So yeah, I hope that helps you, Ruben. If you have any other follow-up questions, just let me know. I'll take a look at it in the next video. Alrighty, thank you for that. Thank you guys, both of you. So let's get to the main topic of today's video. I would go from 0 to 100K a month in 2026 if I had to start over. So I wanted to make this because I received an email saying, how did you get to close to $10 million in annually recurring revenue within less than like 5 years time frame? And I tried to reply to the email and I realized it turned into this long summary because I didn't want to give like a half-assed response to it. So I'm like, okay, why not just make a video about it and explain to people how I would go from 0 to 100K, which is basically 1.2 million, right, a month if I had to start over. So the first thing that I would do, right, is take a look at 3 things. Where I live, who I know, what I know. Now, no 2 people watching this video will have overlapping responses. Some of you might have the same where I live. I would even go on a limb and say maybe, just maybe, you also know the same individuals, maybe if you're from the same household, right? But the what will be vastly different. So no 2 individuals will have all 3 that are exact same, meaning there are infinitely many combinations on what you can do with this information. What I mean by that is the where, the who, and the what will determine exactly how you're going to get to the 0 to 100K a month, okay? Let me break this down further. Most people don't really understand the importance of location. Not in a sense of third world country, first world country, but even if, let's say, you're in the United States, they don't understand the importance of living in the United States, right? I'm going to give the example to the US since this is where I live and this is where most of my viewers are from. Let me explain why the US is so advantageous. The US has what's called the Chamber of Commerce. If you live in any pretty much like major city in the United States, so East Coast, you're living in New York, Atlanta, New Jersey, whatever. West Coast, you're living in California, Sacramento, San Francisco, whatever the case. You're going to have a Chamber of Commerce. What a Chamber of Commerce is, it's essentially the government's way of making sure that the businesses in the area are actually thriving. And this consists of weekly meetings, and everybody just gets together and talks about how business can be improved, what they can do, and what everybody needs help with. You'll have everybody from small mom and pop shop stores, right, to big billion-dollar conglomerates, depending on where you're at. When I joined mine, back when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was the only software engineer in the entire Chamber of Commerce for Los Angeles. Okay? The only one. I kid you not. Everybody else was much older and in various other businesses, but there was really nobody in tech. I had the biggest advantage because even though I might not have been the best software engineer, I was still the only software engineer there, and which meant I was technically the best. So everybody would always come to me for advice with regards to anything really. Now, I made the mistake of doing a lot of things for free for people, which I shouldn't have done, but you don't have to make that mistake. But nevertheless, this is an example of essentially how the where can help you. So first thing you want to do is identify where you live. Once you find out where you live, the city you're in, you need to look for opportunities within that city. Ask yourself these questions. Do you have a chamber of commerce? Do you maybe have a BNI, a Business Network International, that happens at your city? Do you have any startups? Right? Do you have any startup events that happen? Any business events? Any conferences? Anything? What's happening in your city? You live there. It's only natural for you to know what is happening in your city. Think about the government as well. Are there any type of grants that they can offer? And when it comes to, let's say, building out a business, are there any, type of angel investors in your area? Try to find out as much as possible within your city that can potentially help you on your journey. Okay? There are so many resources that you just have to be resourceful enough to use, guys. Seriously, it's really as easy as that. Once you find out where you live and then you do this research, next thing you're going to take a look at is who you know. A lot of you know a lot more people than you think. This is referred to as 6 degrees of separation. If you don't know what this is, any single individual on the planet is only maximum 6 social connections away from you. So if this is me, right, technically speaking, let's say Bill Gates is max 6 social connections away from me, which means I can get to it even sooner than 6, okay? The reason you want to do the who is because you will always know somebody who can provide a little bit of inside information into a specific industry, into a specific niche, into a specific problem that you might not otherwise know. And the best part about this is most of these individuals will be in an industry outside of software, outside of tech. And even if they're in tech, they will still be able to give you inside information. Understand that at its core, right, for you to make the $100,000, how are you going to get that? Is that going to come from thin air? No, that's going to come from who? People. People will need to give you that $100,000. That's how you're going to make that money. Okay? So the most important factor here isn't the 100K, it's the people. Thus, for you to find out what you're going to do, what business you're going to start, what path you're going to go on, you're going to need to talk with people. Understand who you have in your circle. If you start something, who can help you with it? If you get into, let's say, healthcare, do you have anybody that can help you with it or not? Right? A lot of people that I've talked with on the one-on-ones, they might be software engineers and they're like, yeah, I got into e-commerce and this and that. And in my head, I'm like, wait, why e-commerce? Not only do you not have any skills in that, but you don't know anybody in it. Now, I made this exact same mistake when I was younger. I got into e-com initially because I saw all the gurus doing it, right? And I did have a little bit of success and then it failed. It's a long story. Maybe I'll talk about it another time. But if I had done this exercise before, I wouldn't have wasted my time with it because none of essentially what I had made any sense for me to get into e-com at the time, okay? Now, I learned a lot from it, don't get me wrong, but if I had put that energy elsewhere, I would have been much further ahead. So this is always what you want to think about, the opportunity cost of things, right? So once you find out where you live, find out who you know. Everybody in your network, who you know on a first-name basis, your friends, family, alumni, manager, boss, acquaintance, anybody. After that, take a look at what you know. I don't only mean from your resume. I don't mean technical skills. I mean in general, okay? There's a lot of things that you might not consider important, but even some things as cultural things. If you're Japanese, you'll know things about Japanese culture that I won't know. If you're Chinese, you'll know things about Chinese culture that I won't know. If you're from the US, right, you might know certain things there. You know how to talk with people there. If you're from Ireland, you'll know things about the Irish individuals. These are all what you know. Meaning, if there was a moment where you have a client or you have a prospect who is, let's say, if you're Irish and they're going to be Irish, you'll probably have a higher chance of closing that individual or getting them as a client because you will be more closely associated with them. You'll understand them better, right? And people buy from people they trust and they like. You'll be more likable to them. So don't underestimate what you know outside of technical skills, right? A lot of you that I've spoken to are also fathers, family people. You have kids. That's also something very important, right? Don't discount that. Fatherhood is still one of the hardest jobs, right? And you've learned a lot of things on that can help you in business. So essentially, once I kind of figure out all these things, the 3 W's as I call them, or the unique advantage, right? The where, the who, and the what, I'll aggregate all this information and I'll find something that only I can do. Now, what I find might not be the best opportunity that's available to me, okay? What I find might not be something that I have a certain passion about or that I like. However, what I find is going to be something that only I can do and I am best fit to do because I know for a fact that nobody else would have the same advantage as me. It is extremely, extremely difficult to find somebody that can do something like this better than you if you follow through with your exercise, okay? When I did what I did with A/B analytics, I had zero competition whatsoever in LA. It was only after I got a little bit bigger that we started getting a little bit of competition come up. But when I started, there was nobody doing it. And it wasn't because it wasn't a validated field. No, it was a very much validated field. I knew that for a fact. It's just that the way I tailored my offer, the way I tailored the entire business, it was so unique and so unique to me specifically that nobody could really do exactly what I was doing. And to this day, nobody still can do exactly what it is I'm doing. Because I discovered it, I made it through this exercise. So unless there is another me out there that's doing this exact same exercise that also lives in LA, there is no possible way I'll ever really truly have actual competition with regards to this, okay? So use all three to find out what you can do. What type of service are you going to offer? What type of business are you going to create? Whatever the case. What is your specific unique advantage in? And once you have that unlocked, all you really have to do is dedicate time to it. And just start. Time, just start. If you don't know it, trust yourself to figure it out. If it's going to take too much time, trust yourself to be able to do it in less time. All you really have to do is just start and not give up. You might be thinking, okay, why is this guy talking about not giving up? Because honestly, I want to say 99.9% of success is literally just pain, stress, and bullshit tolerance. That's literally it. 99.9% of success is all about tolerating pain, stress, and occasional bullshit that ends up happening. Okay? This is literally all there really is to it. I'm not the smartest individual, right? I'm not the best software engineer, far from it. But what I am relatively good at is I'm extremely persistent. And I don't give up. And I'm good at managing pain, I'm good at managing stress, and I'm good at dealing with bullshit. And that's why I'm in a position that I am. There are a lot more people smarter than me that are not in the same position as me because they lack these things. So all you really have to do is hone these things. Get used to discomfort. Okay? Seek discomfort, I would even say. And be courageous enough to constantly jump into new things, right? With regards to being adventurous. If you can do that, and you've done this formula, right? You've identified something that only you can do, and it has a future, and you can make money in it, it's validated, then you know it's just a matter of time until you yourself become successful at it. You just have to believe in the process, trust the process, have faith in it, and just be able, to bulldoze through the pain, the stress, and all the bullshit that's going to take place. And that's pretty much how I would get to 100K a month, right? Small steps until you get to a point where you can get the ball rolling and you'll be able to get to exactly where you want to get to. It did not take me too long to get to 100K a month. In fact, it was extremely quick. But it took me a long time to go from 0 to 10K with the business, right? However, from 10K to 100K took me way less time than 0 to 10K, which is sort of ironic, okay? That's because once you get it working, right? Most people think growth is linear. It's like this. It's not. In reality, growth is pretty much like this. And then it just exponentially just comes out like that. Okay? So the fastest way for you to get to $100,000 a month is you do this exact exercise. You identify the things that you are the best fit to do, and you put all your focus and energy into that thing. And you don't give up, and you pursue, and you continue until you see success. Most of you watching this can get to the 0 to 100K in 1 to 3 years very easily. All you really need to do is dedicate 1 to 3 years of your life. Those of you who are quote unquote lucky will get there in 1 year. Those of you who are quote unquote less likely will get there in 3 years. Nevertheless, all of you watching can get there. As to will you, that's completely up to you. So just a little bit of a breakdown so you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from. Now, let's get into the last portion, strategizing. So we've gotten actually a few subscribers since yesterday. Let me take a look. So let me take a look on the 29th. We got 3 new subscribers and 162 views. Wow, that's a lot. We got 320 views in the last 48 hours. So this is really good. Oh, if you guys are watching this and you made it all the way here, just drop a sub and drop a comment below if you want to ask me questions. But this one, we got 1 dislike on this. Wonder who it was. But you can see we're getting a decent amount of views on these guys. This one got a little less views, and I'm gonna probably switch up the thumbnail style to just have this type of thumbnails. So we have that. But daily, it's going, not too bad. It's not going too bad. We'll just keep up the pace. We'll keep uploading, and then we will see results at the very end. Now, the main channel is, let me see where it's at. Let me bring in the main channel. Okay, so the main channel is dropped in views a little bit, but we're still going strong. We're getting subs. Let's take a look and see how we're doing last 7 days. We've gotten 186 subs in the last 7 days and 12K views. Our most viewed content is why developers have a hidden edge over entrepreneurs. And then it's the how I start a 100K a month software business from scratch. Oh, essentially what I talked about in today's video, you can go watch this. It's a much deeper dive. I believe this is like about an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look. Hour 20 minutes. This hour 20 minutes on essentially everything I talked about, but in a lot more detail. But that's pretty much it for updates. You guys will see a couple of Italy stuff coming out very soon. Italy, France. We did a big Europe trip on the main channel, and then the main channel will go to the route that I said it will with regards to the 10 to 30 minute long videos, extremely hyper-focused on a specific problem. The dailies will always be here. Starting next week, I will have more sort of structured flow for the dailies, sharing a little bit of inside business info. For now, it's just getting the engagement from you guys, right? Identifying the people who are mostly commenting, building a relationship, and then diving into the rest of the details. So that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you want to, if you have any questions for me, drop it in the comments. I'll answer it in the next video. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a good one.